What's up guys, Sam here. Welcome back to another video, and today is a really big day. And it's really actually not today though. It's sort of been a culmination of the past 5 or 10 years. And we're at the point where, as somebody who's been covering this for a long time, as somebody who's been a fan of the company since I was, I don't know, 8, 7, like a young kid to now, I've officially seen a transition. And I think today, we've hit the transition point for Apple, where they are no longer the same company that they once were. Today, we're at the new Apple. And the reason I'm making this video today and not 2 years ago or 2 years in the future is because Apple has done something that I never believed they would do. I mean, there were some things that I always hoped for or have wanted, features in iOS or, on the iPhone to have a bigger battery. It's like those things that it's like, oh, things are starting to change a little bit. But today, they announced self-service repair. I don't think, aside from my podcast, I've talked a whole lot about right to repair on my channel, but it's something that I care a lot about. It's essentially the idea that you buy a device, so you should have the right as a customer to repair it. For example, a third-party repair shop should be able to get these manuals and parts from Apple and repair them outside of the company. So you could get the same quality and service of repair from a third-party technician as you could from Apple themselves, and maybe save some money along the way, or support a local business rather than literally Apple. So this has been a big topic basically forever since tech has been around, but it was really accelerated by the advent of the iPhone and everybody having these and breaking their screens and having issues, where Apple has had a very hard stance on right to repair. Well, publicly they have said we support it and we're going to help. Everything they've done in the background has made it incredibly hard for independent repair shops. Like, actual customers have never been able to buy parts from Apple. That's just not something that they do. It's just never sat right with me. I mean, you spend $1,000 on a phone and yet you don't even have the right to repair it yourself. It's a crazy idea, and Apple can rationalize it in a bunch of ways, like safety, security. It might be dangerous to take apart your phone. What if you replace the wrong part with a not real one? Yes, these are real things. Yes, these are real concerns. At the end of the day, Apple also made a lot of money by restricting the flow of these parts and servicers. So that's why I'm shocked that today they have announced that Apple parts, tools, and manuals, starting off with just the iPhone 12 and 13, will be available to individual customers. Let me say this again. The company that has been making it so hard for anybody but them to repair products for as long as I've been alive, out of the blue goes, oh, any Apple customer will be able to apply and essentially get their hands on parts to fix their screen or their battery for their iPhone. And the reason for me that this is so exciting is because this democratizes it even further than I thought Apple would ever go. They're not saying just third-party repair shops are going to have better access. You or me can look up a repair manual and review it, then we'll place an order for these Apple genuine parts and use the tools in the Apple Service Repair online store, and after we repair it, we can take the bad parts and send them to Apple, and we might receive a credit for recycling the old part. It's just so good, man. It's so good. And it makes me so happy, regardless of why Apple has done this, which is an entirely different discussion. Was it external pressure? Was it antitrust stuff? Was it other things with right to repair and the legality around it? I don't want to get into the weeds in that right now. What is important here is that this is happening, that they've announced it, and that they're actually doing something positive for right to repair for the first time that I can ever remember. And when I saw this today, it just really struck me because I read this and I was like, no, this can't be real. And then I said, oh, this makes sense now. The old Apple would never do this, but the new Apple's doing a lot of things that I never thought they would do. Like never. Right to repair being probably the biggest one of the bunch, which is probably why it became so clear in my head today. Number 2, I mean, just look at the new MacBook Pros. They took off the flagship feature from the last generation, which was the touch bar, and they reverted the 4-port design to give us more ports again. Like, that's something I would have never seen Apple do pre-2015, where they're actually being like, hey, we messed up. We're going to just give people what they want instead of telling them what they want and hoping everybody goes along with it. The company feels more open-minded, and we're seeing this in software as well, with widgets for the first time and having third-party widgets on the iPhone, and FaceTime groups were added a few years ago, which we thought we would never get, where you can group FaceTime multiple people. You can record your screen in iOS now. The iPhone has a 120 hertz display, and design-wise in general, you see this on the new MacBook Pros, but also the new iPhones, and across a lot of their products, they're making them thicker for the the sake of practicality versus trying to make them as thin and visually cutting edge as possible. That's again something very different from their strategy from about 2005 to 2015. Most impactful for the market though, Apple has finally completed their tiered approach for products. There is now a low-end iPhone, a mid-tier iPhone, and a high-end iPhone. There is now a low-end Mac, a mid-tier Mac, and a high-end Mac. There is now a low-end iPad, a mid-tier iPad, and a high-end iPad. This is true for the Apple Watch. This is true for AirPods. This is true for the accessories that they sell. If you want to spend a little bit of money on Apple products, you get the iPhone SE and the Apple Watch SE and the MacBook Air. If you want to spend a lot of money, you get a spec'd out MacBook Pro, the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and like the Pro Display XDR. And if you're in the middle, you get an iPhone 13 and one of the colorful iMacs and an iPad Air. You see how they've really democratized their products to be like, we're going to serve the highest tier like we always used to, but we're also going to serve everybody else too. And as I've mentioned in a lot of places, you're seeing Apple just become a better company for their customers. You're seeing thicker batteries that make their products last longer. You're seeing iOS updates for devices that are 5 or 6 or 7 years old. And I don't know if I'm the only one noticing this trend here, but Apple just seems way more pro-customer and pro-consumer than they ever have been, especially since my time here on YouTube, but also throughout my life. They've got products for everyone. They're allowing everyone to repair stuff for the first time. They're making features across their devices that are best for the customer and giving us choice for the first time, a choice that we've never had in history. And I am the number one guy, if you guys have been watching for a while, to criticize Apple when an iPad bends and they're like, oh, that's expected behavior. Or, you know, when they come up with some line that I'm like, this does not sit right with me. There's no way this is legitimate. I also want to be the number one guy when they do really positive things that I believe are paying off over time, that Apple's a much more friendly player to the market than they ever were. And I see this trend continuing. Again, maybe it's because customers are more vocal. Maybe it's because governments are being more critical. Those reasons are important to talk about, but at the end of the day, we're getting a fundamentally better company than I thought we would get this soon. I mean, not to mention all of Apple's environmental stuff that they do that they still put at the forefront. Like, there's a lot of things that Apple has to improve on. Relations with China, handling the way that workers function. I'm not like here to be like, oh, Apple's excused from everything because they've done a couple good things. No, those are still serious issues, but I believe that those can coexist while also telling the company that they have done a good job in some of these areas. So maybe this is just me noticing this, but I want to hear your thoughts as well. That's why I made this video. Like, do you guys think Apple's becoming more friendly? Maybe you feel the opposite. Maybe you don't like the new Apple, but I will tell you this, I do. And I will take new Apple any day over the old Apple. It's more fun, it's more practical, and it's more friendly to us, right? Who wouldn't take those 3 wins over the more rigid design, less selection, and more anti-consumer, you're holding it wrong type approach? Hey, you let me know what you think about all this down below. All right, that's all for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, I just want to read your comments. I'm really interested to hear what your feedback is. All right, thanks for watching. Drop a like if you enjoyed, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.